To Adobe Live. My name is Flynn. We're coming to you live from the land of the Durable people. Very excited to be with you today. We're live on Behance and we're live on YouTube. We have 2 live streams for you, and we're kicking off with illustrator and designer Dale Bigeni. Hey Dale, welcome back to Adobe Live, man.
Thank you, Flynn. Nice to be back.
It's good. It's good that we could make this happen. I know that you've just moved as well, so you've moved location. You've got set up just for our stream, which is really, really cool. So we appreciate that.
Yeah. So word of warning, there might be some glitches today, but we're hoping for a smooth, effortless stream as usual. Yeah.
We'll be fine. We'll be fine. We've dodged the worst of the bad weather, which is usually the weak link in New South Wales attempt at having solid internet. So, but we seem to have avoided the worst of the horrible weather that's happening outside. So we're just going to sit back and have a good time. And we've been chatting about doing something like this for a little while, so it's kind of cool. And yeah, I'll kind of let you jump in and take over it. I know Dark Hours is looking after us in chat. If you're out there, say hi, and we'd love to hear from you. And also if you have questions as we're rolling along today, don't hesitate to throw them out. Enough from me. Dale, what are we going to do today?
All right. I think so today we're going to talk about mascots and kind of integrating them into like a brand look and feel. But I think mostly today we're just going to talk about conceptualizing the mascot and what the process is for myself. I know there's a lot of, as always, there's a thousand ways you can do something, but I'm just going to explain some things that I find helpful for me. And I know Adobe is very big on learning, so hopefully this can just teach some people that don't know how to illustrate how to have some fun and make their own little mascots, whether it's for a brand or for themselves. So at the moment on my screen, I've got a couple of, I don't know if it's up yet. Is it there?
Yeah, it's up now. Yep.
Yeah, sweet. All right. So I've got a couple of these little mascots that I've done for a few brands in the past. I've just stripped the colors back just so it's less distracting and stuff. But I feel like mascots are one of those things. They can be anything and everything. It can be like a roll of toilet paper. It can be a flame. It can be a coffee. It can be a human. And there is no rules when it comes to the mascot thing. I think you can take it any way you want to. I chose these 6 because they all kind of share similar traits, but are very different in their own right, I guess. Some have more of a vintage kind of feel. Some are more refined. The chicken up the top's kind of like a much more bold, I would say, like it would almost be similar to like a sporting mascot, where the other ones are more of like a food kind of a retail space kind of thing.
I had to be careful cropping that top right one. I really like it. I had to crop the top in just a little bit extra because I love the pun that's in there.
Oh yeah, the cluck, yeah. Yeah, and I think it's nice to kind of have that like luxury with or like that flex with mascots, where because it's something you're creating that doesn't really exist. It's not like everyone knows fire doesn't have arms and legs, but you can put the poses however you want and give them these facial expressions that are really cute and, you know, very engaging with an audience. So mascots are always, whenever I post them, they get a big kind of like reaction and engagement with people. People are very like drawn to this sort of stuff. You see it all the time, like common trends and things people get into. It's always cutesy stuff. So yeah, we're going to talk about creating the cutesy stuff. We're going to stay away from the trademark skulls and darkness for a bit.
Branching out a little bit. Yeah, because I see this like a little bit more popular. I know you've been doing this for a while, like for some brands, but I've definitely seen like you imagine being in like inner city Melbourne or like the inner west or something, and you're seeing like coffee shops or like a pickle company or like some kind of, you know, sort of thing. Like it's definitely like a really approachable, like it's a friendly, as you said, it's like cutesy and friendly. So if you're going for that, you can instantly kind of get that message across super quick if you're doing something like this.
I just had a friend of mine who's in I would call it a bit of a punk or hardcore band. And they saw me post this up yesterday and he's like, oh, what do you think of a mascot for our band? And I'm like, yeah, I think we should do something and stay away from the skulls and things. And he goes, honestly, I think this stuff sells more than that stuff does now. So there's like there's a shift in like styles always, and I think these are great because you can have a lot of fun with them and you can use them, like we're going to talk about tomorrow, in more than just the mascot way. It becomes its own little brand identity, I think. So it's a brand within a brand. But yeah, so obviously, like we all know that not everyone is capable or can illustrate as well as the next person. I'm not here to tell you that you guys need to do it a certain way or anything like that, but I'm just going to run through some little technique or options to kind of create. So obviously there is a little bit of lag on my end here, but I think we should be all right. So yeah, if you obviously, I know that I can come up with something pretty quickly, just because obviously I've done them a fair bit, so I can just create any shape. Well, I do have a lot of lag here, but so I can just, know why it's lagging so much, but so you can go in and kind of rough out like little shapes and you know, whatever kind of shapes you want for this mascot. You can have him walking, you can have him standing, whatever you want. If you don't know how to draw and drawing's not going to be your forte, and it's going to be a kind of a, you know, a bit more of a task, there's options around it, and I think that's kind of my biggest part in everything that I kind of want to show people, is that we've all been doing it a long time, so we all have our methods, but obviously people want to get creative. You see a lot of people trying to create stuff AI and all that sort of stuff now, like they're creating these little things, but I think try to bring it back to like grassroots learning, and there is ways to be able to create like this without going straight to an AI platform, I guess. Does that make sense?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so I'm going to talk about it in this way. So I've got okay, so I've got like 3 options here of like things that could be potential mascots, right? We know that, I'm just sticking with food because me and my partner were talking about it, and all she talks about is food, so it's just like stuck now. So I can get these pictures. I can just go straight on top of these, and I can just go, maybe I'll dial these back for 1 second to explain kind of the process here. So I can do it this way, where I have the objects, I guess, or the base for what we're going to use. I'm going to turn them more so they kind of look like they're in a walking format, because I'm going to keep all of my characters walking. And I might just go, so you might just grab a photo of anything, whatever it is. I'm just going to draw a couple of little faces on these. So I might just go, okay, this strawberry's going to have like a little face. He's got his cute little nose, and maybe he's like whistling or something. And then I've already got I can turn all of these into little characters without even having to draw the rest of this or tell me that, you know, they work as a platform or a base to be a mascot. But I can go in and draw these really roughly. It is there definitely is a little bit of lag, so I apologize if that looks a bit sketchy.
It's all good. Just looks slightly delayed on here, but it still like comes through a second later.
Yeah, cool. All right. So I can see that all of these are kind of they're kind of cute. Like I could call them mascots. So this is my little hot dog, strawberry, and ice cream. Whether or not you want to, you know, call it perfect, you don't have to. This is all a part of conceptualizing and creating, and that's what makes art, I guess, fun, and that's why it keeps me drawing, because you can do this stuff all day and, you know, no one can tell you it's wrong. But I've already conceptualized a strawberry, a hot dog, and a ice cream in less than 10 seconds, you know. So you can do it this way, but once you've kind of got your desired kind of like direction that you want to go with, and let's just I want to win points with my partner. She wanted a hot dog. She wanted me to do a hot dog, so I'm going to stick with the hot dog. So I'm just going to get rid of my strawberry and my ice cream. I just delete these guys off the side here, and then I've got this here now. So I've got my hot dog and and face kind of thing, but it's obviously like we can see that it's not at all where we want to be. So I want to copy this, and I'm going to draw another. I'm going to kind of redraw. Oh, sorry. I'm going to redraw straight off this design. I'm going to copy kind of the line work exactly how it is to make it kind of all feel like it's one artwork, to see if it starts to feel more like my mascot or what I kind of envision it to be. And chances are it's not going to, because of the angles and things like that. So if I rough that out and I remove this, so now it's straight away going into a closer point of like being a finished artwork, or a more, foreseeable mascot, I guess. Of course, it's all about building, so I would generally do this sort of thing, and I still do. Like, I don't sit there and try to tell people I draw everything freehand. I still reference a lot of things. I use reference from other artists and other other artworks that I see, and it's not because I'm stealing styles. It's because I consider myself kind of a well-rounded artist. I don't like to focus on one particular thing, so I'm always learning. I'm always trying to pick up other things, and yeah, this is kind of my process to completion kind of thing. So I've got these two kind of drawn up. I'm just going to get my hot dog out of here, move it up here. So I guess with the mascot, and I know I haven't drawn the arms and legs yet, but that's fine, because I'm trying to establish the style of the drawing. What I would do usually is maybe I'll get this and I'll go transform, and I'll warp this thing, and I might just start getting some like, oh, sorry, this is that's a bit crazy. So I might just like start kind of warping it and making it kind of my own kind of shape, because I guess the mascots always look better with a bit of movement, a bit of, I guess, just like less solid. Like we're using a photo that kind of has no movement, so I might just warp it here.
And it's kind of make it a little bit more exaggerated, right?
Yeah.
When
So maybe
animation,
like blow out the top, or like it obviously, like, we're working within a time limit here, so I'm gonna just try to do this as quick as I can, but as clear as I can. So I might just warp it a little bit. You can see the shape difference. It's it's not miles away, but it's also like it's miles away.
Yeah.
So yeah, now I can go in again, and I'll just do like the process isn't supposed to be quick and like cheap and nasty. I'm just you need to take your time when you're building this, but like this should be easily able to create a little hot dog mascot within this half-hour gap we have. So I'll go back in. I've got my new layer, and I'll draw it in again. So I'm just going to kind of treat these a little bit more individual. Let's turn this up. So I might just maybe not follow the line exactly. Maybe I'm just going to use it as my guide now. So a little bit of bread there. We've got a nice little curve in here now. Some detail. And then I might just, we'll do our little eyes again. Maybe he's got like a bit of a bigger nose in there. Alright, and then we're going to do a cheeky.
And how do you learn to like draw these kind of cartoonish faces? Because they're all like a little bit different, like each one you've done.
I guess that's kind of what the learning process does for me. Like I go into like I look at old cartoons, like I'm a big fan of like the Hot Stuff Little Devil cartoon. He was a little comic strip, and he had like really cool facials, and they were so basic, but also like just growing up and knowing that like cartoons used to be like a dot eye or like a solid black, or there wasn't much to it. Like it wasn't always like the Disney 3D craziness. kind of felt like there was a lot of real basic stuff happening, and I know basics definitely always a winner for me. So I like to not have to overthink or kind of commit to too much detail, especially with the mascot, because you want to be able to use this in like a singular color maybe, yeah, most of the time. So it gives you the chance to like do something dynamic with little details. So now we've got more of a hot dog guy. So we've gone from, a static flat hot dog PNG that I found on Google, meant nothing, it was just my guide. I went in, draw it, see if it feels good as an icon or a mascot, and it does. It feels like it's cute. Go in and I can warp that. I can, do what I need to. Obviously I'll lose the detail of the source, but maybe we can find another way to put the source in. So that's my bare bones getting it to a kind of a mascot level where it feels like it can be like used as a brand element now. It's kind of like we've got this guy and he came from nowhere and we drew him in pretty quick time. So we've got like our little mascot, and he does need a few arms. He needs a few arms. He needs some arms. So let's put, for the arms, I always feel like the vintage mascots are quite dynamic and they're quite simple, but it's because of like their expressions on the face and their arms and things are doing wild things. But we weren't able to get the source, so maybe we can get him holding the source or something.
I was going to suggest that. Yeah, he could have like a mustard in one hand and like a sauce in the other.
Yeah, so it's just I like doing the legs kind of walking because I just feel like it just adds more of, I don't know, it adds more of a vibe to it. So
yeah,
these arms and legs are way too thin for what I want to achieve, I guess, but I'm gonna leave it like this for now. All right, so maybe we've got a sauce bottle here. And again, this is not me creating the finished art by any means, so I can go in there and I can have him holding this bottle, and then that was the most average hands ever drawn, but maybe it's the sauce is coming out, and then this one, here's the bottle here. Oh. Sorry, Flynn, that lag's challenging me, but
it's all good on this side. I'm sure it's a bit annoying on your side trying to draw.
Yeah, just like I don't know what's going on there. So this is his other hand holding this sauce bottle. Obviously, we can go in and we're going to change all the scaling and stuff. But say he needs his little foot here, and this one's the angles are off, but that's fine. We can make this work. All right, so like we know that this is the kind of direction we want to take. We want him to have his sauce. He's got this. All right, we've got our bones. This leg is way too long, so we need to cut this. And the same kind of idea applies to this kind of process where I like to have a few rounds at kind of getting it where I want it. So I'm just going to move this up. Oops. Yep. So now I've got this. I can go on. Okay. All right, so that's his kind of, we like this overall look of these pose and what he's doing, but obviously, like I said, the arms are probably too skinny for what I want to do. So now I've got them on this layer and they're kind of like a rough. I'll just knock this back.
Yeah, so it's kind of like each stage you're kind of building it up in layers, like you kind of trying to get the first, like the proportions right and the angles right, and then.
Well, and I think it's good. I think it helps kind of to do it that way because it just stops you from like committing to committing straight away. So I might even do this part in a little bit of stages where it's like, all right, so I've got his arm. So I'm just going to fatten up his arm and probably shorten it because it was a bit long. Oops. Yeah, and then I might just maybe like dress it up a little bit.
This is like the white glove kind of
approach. If it doesn't have a white glove, is it really a mascot, you know?
Yeah.
So now he's got his little... And I will probably have to, clean this up a lot, but for what we're doing here, I think it's going to make sense. So now that I've got it as like its own little arm, I might go in and like tweak that direction and where it sits and the length and stuff and get it more into a spot where it feels, less, well, for one, gangly and not cute. And I do my little source bottle again. That one can just not have anything coming out. So I might just leave that as right arm. I know it's his left, but I'm looking at it on the right. And I'll do the same thing over here. I'll just rotate my page. And draw over here, get this again. This dimensions are a bit off, but that's good. So, new layer, right arm, left arm. And I guess it lets me go in and kind of make these changes that might need to be made, down the line where it's like, oh, I want to change that arm. I only have to worry about ruining this one, or I can scale and thicken it up and everything's always treated individually. So let's do this again.
You can change the transfer point as well. Like if you wanted to kind of rotate the arm a little bit, maybe have a couple of different poses and stuff. Yeah.
Give it some more, just make it feel more alive. I find sometimes I draw things and I'm like, oh, it kind of feels a little bit like not fun or not it's not hitting, the feels that I want it to, like no action, no depth, none of that. So I'm trying to be aware of it, but sometimes I just get caught up in the whole thing and, I just commit after I tell people don't, lock things in, and it comes down to just a bit of poor time management. But I'm always working on it.
Yeah. And do you find that there's like a lot of clients, like, or not, maybe not a lot of clients, but like, do you find that there's people asking about this? I mean, you mentioned the band member, which I quite like, kind of someone in a sea of skulls and like Metallica kind of logos doing like a silly mascot. It's kind of cool to stand out. You seeing more of it or same?
Like I see enough of it to kind of like give me the opportunity to do it, I guess. It's rare that it's like a full-blown mascot brief given to me by someone. It's usually me kind of taking the design that they want and like leading it into, oh, why don't we try a mascot? And it usually it actually 9 times out of 10 like comes my way, and I'm doing a mascot, and I love that because sometimes the whole people don't know what they want, so they see what they don't want. It's very like true. I definitely believe people don't know what they want until they see what they don't like. So I give them an option that's not the same as every other brand and what they're doing, and it's cool, especially like with the band thing. You could do a mascot and it could be in a different world to what the music sounds like, but I think that's the appeal. It's kind of like I don't know. I love the thought of doing fun things more than the same stuff I've been doing for a very long time. I think I'm at an age now where I like to experiment and have fun and kind of rekindle my love for where it all started, and stuff like this is exactly as. So I'm just going to put his little sausage thing up there, whatever that's called.
Have you ever seen? It reminds me of there's like a poster for like a death metal kind of concert, and it's got all the logos of all the bands like next to each other, and one of them's like Party Crayon or Party Canyon or something, and it's all just done in like rainbow, big puffy letters.
Oh yeah. I haven't seen it. I'm gonna have to have
I'll find it for you.
Have a look for it though.
It's hilarious. I'll send it to you. I'll send it to you to check out. And I just love that because like it's gone around the internet. I've seen it a bunch of times. I love the idea of, because that's the advertising way of looking at things, right? The advertising way, like it's kind of like the graphic design 101 is to think, okay, what's the USP? What's the environment? Therefore, the color should be this. The feel and tone should be this. Should it be serif or sans serif? Like those questions are answered fairly quickly. But then if you look at it from more of an advertising lens, it's kind of like, well, let's look at all of the competitors in the space and how do we stand out visually and from a tonal, right?
Separate us from them.
Yeah. So it's interesting.
Yeah, and I think some people get caught up in it. They're kind of like, well, if I'm going to a death metal festival, why would I want it to be cutesy or, but I think that's what actually sells, is that it's different to anything else they may have expected to see, I guess. Is that, where'd that line? Sorry, I didn't see that one. All right, so we've got this little guy. He's kind of walking. I think it's a really nice little pose. He's got enough going on here that like is keeping it interesting. I'm just gonna get rid of my little. So yeah, I did all these on separate layers again. I'm sure. No, I didn't. This one is. So this one, I tried to do it on all separate layers, but we're gonna make mistakes along the way. That's fine. But we started with a PNG of a hot dog, and he was kind of flat. There was no initial sketch done. There is no, there's no harm in taking the long way to get the result you want. I think it's exciting to work like this because you kind of don't know how it's going to end up. I might find that I don't like the two sauce bottles and I want one to be a fork in his hand or things like that, and having that wiggle room in the design is important, I guess, like to be able to experiment, play, and not feel too committed. But like I said, it shouldn't take you long to create something. If it does, it's not a negative. I think it's nice to kind of like explore it properly and kind of get the desired effect you want. But this is kind of the position I would like it to be. At this point, it's still a little bit rough. Obviously, like everything can be perfected, and you can add things, take away things. I'm just gonna do a little bit of a tidy up here. I'm gonna get rid of this out of there. So there's our little guy, this little arm. I think it's all right size wise. Maybe I am looking at his face and thinking maybe he wants to be a bit more happy. So I'm gonna just put some little cheek marks here.
Clean it up.
Maybe I'm gonna just get rid of these. And I might do them a bit thicker and a bit more close there. And look, I might go over all of this a million times before it actually hits Illustrator, but I usually do all my conceptual stuff here, and then I like to go into Illustrator. A big part of why I like to do that is because I like to separate all my parts and have the ability to say, well, I want to use just the hot dog, no hands, and use that as a part of a brand unboxing, I guess. I do have an example where I use the one logo in a few different ways. I'm just going to open it up. So here I did this, the Chicken King.
Yeah.
So this.
You zoom in a little bit. People will be able to see it a little bit more.
Oh, sorry, I forgot. I'm on the big screen again.
On the big screen. Yeah, all good.
Yeah. We're good here.
That's good.
All right, so for this one, obviously I created the chicken first, and I focused on like what his kind of, you know, his role was in the brand, and it was kind of like this guy is as mascot as it comes. Like he's even holding a flag that, you know, like he can stand alone, and you know, like he feels strong over here on the left. But I also consider how it looks when it goes possibly like on a shop banner, horizontally. I don't want the client to just go and do his own thing. So I was kind of just, I give people options of like how I would display it. The Chicken King typography on its own. I think it's always important to have a typography alone and icon alone. And mascots are perfect for that because, like I said, he kind of becomes his own brand with or without the text.
Yeah.
You know, people know KFC for the Colonel. He can, you know, they can display just the Colonel, but we know exactly what the brand is.
Yeah.
I think some people do a really good job at it, and trying to get people to kind of see your brand through the mascot is important. But also being an artist and being able to deliver options to clients and use these logos in particular ways is great. I think I got another one here that might be it.
I was just going to say before we move on to this one, I love the type here is very reminiscent, for those in Australia would know this, of like a traditional like chicken shop where they might write out the front, or like what is it, like a tuck shop kind of thing. It's almost from that someone will come out in the morning and hand write the menu or what was for sale or the discounts. Yes, exactly. Fish shop,
and
maybe?
that font. So that chicken I hand drew because I kind of wanted to make it feel hand drawn. Like you can see there's some imperfections, but to me it's like perfect for what it needs. And this is it's yet to come to life, but I'm excited to see where this one goes. But here's another example where I kind of I created this logo. So I took a whole bunch of stuff off of my little Prezzo, but I'll put it all back. So I did this logo, and I treated the mascot as a design, but also as like an independent little lockup where I can take away, you know, just the head off that logo. And because you've seen it with that typography, I know it's instantly, you know, recognizable to that brand. And I think it's not that it's hard to do. I think some people don't consider enough, and they can do the design, and the design looks great, but anything outside of that, it falls short of being dynamic, I guess. And stuff like this shirt looks great. We ended up doing it in the purple and pink, which is really cute. But the company isn't by far, it's not a cute company. They deal with records and merch and things like that, but we're not cute. It's more like, how do we make that brand fun and engaging to someone that doesn't really care for vinyls or whatever it is, you know? So I think it's nice to be able to design for brands, but design for the masses kind of thing. I think that's kind of important. But just having the chance to kind of like go in and have these different little looks and feels, and the shading differences, like the line work. So you can see this line work's got like a little bit of a grit and an age to it that wasn't just because it was a shitty live trace that someone might think it is. It was because I wanted it was applied after the fact, and it was to give it more of a vintage feel. So I think those things are important to consider and to have, you know, in your little project scope. How's the overall theme and brand supposed to feel? But like I really think like creating the design and having the design feel like it can stand alone, live alone as like, you know, the bagel and the toast, or the text, you know, the text on its own. All these things are always like with any design I ever do, and you can watch some streams from way back. I always really try to drive it home that your design shouldn't be just the design. It shouldn't just be the mascot. It should be able to live by itself, or you know, it should be able to coexist with text and feel like it's a cohesive piece. But it's really fun. I like looking at it. I like going from seeing that we went from, a hot dog,
Yeah.
which was completely just a JPEG file, and that hot dog was what created this. And your imagination takes you the rest of the way, and yeah, that's kind of the premise of creating the hot dog or the mascot in a way that maybe you don't know how to illustrate, maybe you haven't been doing it for years, maybe you don't feel confident drawing. There's always a way, I think. I think AI is great. I don't want to downplay it. I think it's got its perks, and it has to exist. And I'm pretty sure a lot of people use like AI to reference and to upscale their art sometimes, But with stuff like this, I think there's something special about the process, and yeah, that's kind of mostly what it is. I would take this, I'd refine it, I'd work on kind of getting the line work perfect, and then I'd go over to Illustrator and I'd work on kind of vectoring it and taking it further. Where, like I said, I'd keep the arms, so the arms would be separate, the legs would be separate, and I might just use this guy as like a piece for an Instagram icon, and I can chop him in, and I know that looks like, I can use his head sticking out of that circle, and it feels like it's still the same mascot, it's, but also considering what goes in there. So maybe you want to include, when you crop him or something, you want to get some of those like little drips over here into the logo so it ties back to the mascot,
Right, like what makes
that.
it unique. Like if you crop in too much, it's just eyes and the nose, then it's not going to be distinguishable. But if you zoom out enough, you can see the little top of the hot dog. If you can see a little bit of the bottle, then
And so it is very important to kind of keep all that in consideration when you're doing this. But yeah, so from this point, it is just a matter of, I still have a little bit of time, so I'm just going to group all these. I'm just going to group all those. I'm sure they're all of it. Yeah. And yeah, I might go in and do another pass on that now. So I've done that same process, maybe 3 or 4 times to even get to a finished art. But at least I know I've taken all the steps to make it feel like, yeah, this is it. So yeah, you might find that maybe the face is still not to your liking, or you think maybe he just needs like a classic smile or something, like something a bit more simple. Maybe his eyes have no detail and they feel better as like just a sausage eye. It looks like the shape of a sausage.
Right.
But like now I would just use this kind of part to like really, sorry, I'm trying to turn the opacity so it's not all right. But yeah, I'll go in and just start adding like some new looks and feels like to the face, just to make sure that I like exactly where it is. Maybe the mouth follows the body more. Maybe the nose is like I don't know, it could be anything. Like it really, it doesn't matter. You can have, really angular eyebrows, a bit thinner. But every time I do these changes, it's like a new version of it without, I'm not destroying the original direction. So I think that's kind of the whole process in a nutshell. This part is quite, it's up to whoever's creating, but I would just go in and start, like, maybe I'll remove some of the details, and I don't know, maybe I'll just take like a bite out of him so it's like a little bit like a bit more interesting. I don't know, like it's from this part, it's kind of, this is the fun part, because you do get to go in and have these details that maybe weren't there before, but as you're building, you're the boss.
That's pretty funny. Bite out.
There you go. I don't know, it's got a really, look, the new studio did all right, but it's definitely it's having a time at the moment with this lag. So yeah, but yeah, I'd go in and start adding like some little extra details and stuff, and then you're kind of ready to go over to Illustrator, start vectoring it, and we can talk about kind of like the vector process and chopping and making some thumbnails, social media uses and things like that, wherever a brand might need something. So
yeah,
but that's kind of little Hot Dog Joe over here.
Hot Dog Joe. I like that. Joe. And yeah, you're talking about the Illustrator side. So that's something that we'll do tomorrow. So we've got you back again tomorrow, which is great. So we'll be jumping in, probably spending more time in Illustrator, I assume, than today. Well, we didn't spend any time in Illustrator today, but yeah, that's super cool, and like how you apply it to the brand. I also wanted to sort of mention as well, you're talking about reference. I know we've done some things, it's probably a while ago now, but like on style and reference and using it, and how like that hot dog is it's just a hot dog. It's kind of like using a plant and then you're making a logo that looks like a leaf. Yeah. It's like there's nothing wrong with using reference to get you started. And then, I mean, by the time you kind of get towards the end, like no one could go, hey, I recognize that hot dog from the Google search when you search for a hot dog. Like it's just, you get it kind of right. And then you do so many passes at it that it's, it's your own.
And I think it's hard because I think there's a lot of gatekeeping still that happens in art and those things. And I think I'd be one of the few that will admit to using reference. I mean, I can draw all day if I want to and do what I want, but if I know that I can half the time of conceptual, allowance, I guess. Yeah. Then you're crazy not to. And not everyone can draw, so I'm willing. I want to see everyone draw. So if I can tell you you can trace a hot dog and make your own, who am I? Like I think it's great for everybody to have a go. So I think the gatekeeping thing is a thumbs down, and everyone having a go is a thumbs up. So
nice. Yeah. I like that. Well, great. Well, I think we'll end the stream on that very positive note. I like that a lot. Well, thank you so much, Dale, for joining us. And then, so tomorrow we're going to jump in and vectorize this bad boy and maybe show how you can kind of create a couple of assets for a client. Yeah. And that's awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll post up this on Instagram and we'll see him cleaned up tonight. So stay tuned. Art by Dale.
Go check it out. Art by Dale. We'll send, I think it's your Instagram will be in the description of this episode. And Dark Hours, you can share that in chat as well. But yeah, stick around. We'll be joined in about 15 minutes by Joy Chang as well. We're going to be checking out new Firefly boards, which is in beta, which I've been playing around a little bit. So something for everyone today. But thank you, Dale. Thanks for joining us, man.
No, you're welcome. Thank you, Flynn. Thank you so much.
All right, we'll see you soon, everybody. And Dale, we'll see you tomorrow. Bye.
See you later. Catch ya.